Today we're going to look at the Agis, a budget-priced ultra-compact from Cybex, deliberately designed to be more minimalistic than average, both in its features and mechanical design. So let's get started then, going over the model's advantages and disadvantages in terms of child comfort, ease of use, performance, and mechanics, before ending with a discussion of which uses and lifestyles it may suit, as well as whether we feel it's worth its price. And starting off with some stats, the Agis clocks in at 6.3 kilos and folds down to 25 by 45 by 53 centimeters. It can take 22 kilos in the seat and 5 in the underslung shopping basket. When it comes to child comfort, the Agis has very suboptimal seating positions, with only two options: an upright position that's not sufficiently upright in my opinion, despite the fact that Cybex could have easily made it so simply by making the strap adjustable, and a reclined position that isn't even close to deep enough to deserve the designation reclined at all. Size-wise, the Agis' seat has a decent width of 33 centimeters, but the length of the sitting surface is only 69, with no leg rest and a backboard height of only 44, while the total longer length, when looking at space beneath the canopy and the distance to the front frame mounted footrest, is 109, which isn't bad, though the distance to the canopy is significantly longer than to the footrest, making head space a little more roomy than needed, while leg space may be cramped for older toddlers. As far as other aspects of the seat go, the Agis' textiles feel soft and of good quality for the model's price, though there are additional negatives in that the harness unfortunately has to be rethreaded to change elevation, an unnecessarily retro design choice in my opinion. There are wide open spaces between the canopy and seat back, which is good for ventilation, but might have at least been covered with mesh. The canopy both lacks a peekaboo window and isn't extendable, where its high positioning makes coverage somewhat insufficient for younger toddlers. And lastly, the textiles are also not removable, which makes washing the model quite difficult. Following with that minimalistic theme, the Agis doesn't have car seat adapters available or any means of attaching a bassinet, and is specifically advertised for use after a child is 6 months old. Though in my opinion, the lack of a proper reclined position makes even this a bit too young, at least if you're likely to be out and about with the model for all-day excursions. Moving on to parent comfort, the Agis' handle is fixed at a height of 101 centimeters, which may be too low for taller parents, while the shopping basket is on the narrow side, but is easily accessible in the way it extends out from beneath the seat. As far as folding is concerned, the Agis technically auto-folds, though the process requires two hands, has two steps in the need to press the chassis together to engage the locking clip, and has additional negatives in not folding down directly to a standing position, and the fact that the textiles touch the ground even when pulling the chassis up so that it does stand. When folded, the Agis' folded dimensions are within the IATA's guidelines for cabin luggage, but the model lacks a centrally positioned carry handle or strap, making it a little awkward to carry for longer periods. With regards to how the Agis feels to use, the chassis feels well manufactured and has good cross support, but has a couple of points vertically that loosened up quite quickly under testing. Suspension on the model is awesome, substantially better than with most other ultra-compacts, while wheel size is pretty standard, 5.5 inches in the back and 5.1 in the front, allowing the model to handle uneven pavement, lighter cobblestones, and park lawn without feeling too jittery, though I would note that the front wheels sit a bit loose and can be noisy when the going gets rougher. Alright, let's move on to the mechanics of the Agis then, beginning with the folding system and the overall structure of the chassis, where folding is activated via a pair of buttons here at these hinged locking points on the handle arms that, when released, allow the handle to pivot forwards while drawing on internal wires that, when the handle is folded enough, release a pair of pins down at the second locking point, allowing the side arms to telescope through those locking points, such that the rest of the chassis can fold together via a variety of hinges. This is a relatively simple setup on today's market, and one where I don't anticipate many problems developing, though occasional lubrication will be important to keep the telescopic part of the setup and those pins functioning smoothly long term. Otherwise, as I mentioned, the Agis has good cross support, where I particularly like the anchoring effect produced by the struts in the undercarriage that connect to the seat frame, and this is not a model where I would anticipate wear problems showing up from asymmetrical loosening side to side. That being said, as I already noted, there are a couple of places that are quite prone to loosening vertically in the hinged locking points on the handle arms and the lower channels through which the side arms telescope, which I would attribute directly to the model's very bouncy suspension. And given the degree to which these points have loosened after less than a week of testing, there is the possibility that the model will feel significantly rickety after a year or two of use. Moving down to the rear frame, there's again that good suspension, while the brake system is quite simple, and another retro touch as I see it, with regards to stroller design, where, while I like the absence of complex internal components, I would note that similar setups in the past have developed problems, either by the plastic rubbing away over time or the rivets weakening, that can lead to the brake bar eventually coming to fall down and activate the brakes unintentionally, requiring re-riveting to fix the problem. Otherwise, the rear wheels are not designed to be easily removed and sit quite tight in their housings, though the tires are a bit plasticky and unlikely to provide much traction. Looking lastly at the front frame, suspension here is similarly nicely noticeable, while the setup of the axles is also a retro touch in my opinion, reminiscent of umbrella models, which on its own isn't a problem, though, while the wheels sit tight enough within the forks, there is definitely some looseness with how the forks connect around the axles, which in addition to being noisy, may lead to wobbling problems down the line that would be particularly unpleasant since the model lacks swivel locks. So, would I recommend getting the Agis then? In my opinion, no. While the model does have positives with its great shock absorption and a rather elegant chassis design for the price, despite a few weak points, other features on the model, especially with regards to the seat, seem to have been designed much more minimalistically and/or cumbersome to use than necessary. And while the model is cheap and may still not be too bad of a choice for parents who like the minimalism and are just looking for an easy-to-use travel stroller, there are other options on the wider market, even within the Agis's lower price class, that are both a bit stronger and also provide a wide array of advantages, in particular with regards to child comfort. In any case, we hope you found this video interesting, and if you did, we ask that you subscribe, as it helps us to continue making videos in the future. In addition, if you're currently shopping for a stroller, we have a buyer's guide on our Patreon page which lists a wide range of models that we recommend, with a lot of technical and lifestyle related information. You can find it by following the link in the description. Thank you.